So just
Without
listen
a
to
union,
this.
you have very little rights at work. You have no right to free speech. You have an at-will employment standard that says your boss can fire you for any reason at all. And you don't really have any say in what happens at work. Without a union.
So fuck, why is the phone ringing out here? So the crazy part about this is, yeah, no. It is really painful to be employed by a lot of these people in New York City. That's just one of the biggest at will employers that there are. It's like you really have to have some type of like good, like you have to get good with management to avoid being fired for absolutely no reason. I was working for a program in a school and I was doing amazing. That's the joke. That's the meme. That's the meme. Yeah, I've done that so for years now, and it's like people are just catching on to the meme. Like, oh my god, it's there. Everything is there for a reason. Look at my sukuna. It's there for a reason. um, for me to have been like let go for the reason of like, or the reason I was given was you're pretty much not doing what we hired you to do. And I was like, I would have expected that. Your program was in shambles. Your program was in shambles when I came here. You literally had program directors leaving left and right. Your turnover rate was like 85%. And it wasn't, it was a large team. So it's like, if you get a whole new staff every single school year, maybe you need to look inward. So I was like, I took on more roles. I brought in more kids. I brought in more people. I made the community like, I literally made the community in that school safer. I was involved in so much. Like I was mental health guy. I was art guy. I was teaching like 3 subjects. Like I was in there. But you're not doing the one thing that we had recruited you for. And I'm like, that's because you don't have enough kids in the program to split them up that way. You're supposed to make money, not make it safer. Exactly. Like, what the fuck, yo? Like what the fuck, bro? Like, you think in any form of like dealing with children that you would like want to foster a community and not like fucking burn them to the side and just get all the kids and make them do whatever. Like, who fucking cares? Our fucking grant. Like, Jesus, yeah. I wish we had a union.
Says that the workplace is like a dictatorship where the boss decides everything that happens and workers have no say in the process. When you form a union at work, it democratizes the workplace and you suddenly have a contract, you suddenly have a say in what happens at work. Without a union, you don't have a right to negotiate your pay, you don't have a right to grieve things, to challenge unsafe working conditions or unfair things going on at work. Only with a union can you have those things. So once you've decided it's a good idea to start a union.
So in an argument against that, and I'm not taking the stance against it, I'm just flipping it so that way I can like explain it. Argument against that would be, or the only way to counteract that would be to say that everybody in your workplace respects one another and they give their employees the freedom to be able to bargain. Collective bargaining obviously would be better because you can obviously stage a massive scale like walkout or any other disciplinary measure if the conditions aren't met. But people would have to not be devils. Like people would have to not be people would have to not be devils. People would have to not be devils.
Of those things. So once you've decided it's a good idea to start a union at work, how do you go about doing it? So step number 1 is to start having conversations with people you know would be friendly to the idea of starting a union.
I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Hold on. I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
These are folks that either have complained to you or complained with you about low pay, unsafe conditions, things that are really good to agitate around and start discussions around why a union would make things better. Step 2 is to take that group and really contact a union organizer to help you expand the coalition more broadly at work. Now, if you're not sure what union to contact, you can do some online research and find one in an industry where you work. I really like the IWW. They're a radical union that organizes in every industry, and they're on the front lines of some really exciting organizing happening right now. But if you're not sure, you can contact our office and we can help connect you with a union organizer. Step 3 is you work with the union organizer to help build that broader coalition at work, to spread the idea of why a union is needed among all your coworkers. Step 4 is where the workers vote and decide whether they are going to have a union through a secret ballot election at work. Now, at this point, you should understand you will face opposition from your boss. They will likely put on an anti-union campaign.
I know it's the wrong one. I just clicked this on purpose.
Propaganda about why you shouldn't.
Because it's a YouTube segment and I don't want to get
They
banned.
pay you better wages. They don't want to give up that.
Okay, I gotta stop.
dictatorship
I gotta
they
stop.
have.
I gotta
The boss
stop. I gotta
doesn't let
stop.
a union-
I just wanted that one. I just wanted that one. Okay, I'm gonna actually find it though.
Somebody once told me the world's gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Why does this exist?
Looking kind of dumb with
Why does this exist?
a thumb in the shape of
Why
an
does this shit
elf on
exist?
her forehead.
Why does that shit exist? Why does that shit exist? Okay. More union shit. Okay,
Oh,
more
we are in
union
Chicago,
shit.
and we're learning to be better.
No, I don't. Oh, yo, fucking the internet is so fucking weird, yo. I really be, yo, hold on, wait. I really be forgetting anybody could just log on to this shit. Like, there are no requirements. I just imagine a person that just woke up one day and was like, you know what? It's fucking time.
Oh, we are in Chicago, and we're learning to be better at what we do.
Would you believe it?
This
I'll
year
check that
is
in a
the
second.
second year that President Stevenson has initiated this new organizer training. The classes are well attended and the content is awesome, and it's looking forward to another productive year with this training.
The organizer training came about by seeing a need. Our new organizer training is really focused on bringing in new organizers who don't have a lot of experience and giving a foundation, and now our advanced organizer
Yes.
training is really
Everybody's always been allowed to
organizers
drop links. I just
who
don't have a
have
chat
been on
that's
the job
that
for a while, and giving them
rapid
some
that I
added,
can't catch 'em.
skills and practice with those skills.
Do you know what the next 2 days is going to be? You're going to be choosing your own adventure.
Ooh.
Attendees have a very long day. and I'll say a very long day and a very rich day. We actually have membership development staff come in and sit with the organizers at their tables, and they have an opportunity to dialogue with the membership development staff. It definitely brings a level of value to it that you can't always put on paper.
The best asset that we have in our industry and in organizing is education.
It's super important because you want to make sure that you're giving people accurate information, and you want to make sure that you feel comfortable and have a good amount of knowledge. Make sure that when you're telling people things, you're instilling that trust and you're informing them to the best of your ability.
I've
I feel like they like skipping the whole like actual thing about the union. To make it pretty.
You've spoken before about how much you admire the European-style welfare state. I'm curious to know what your thoughts on why the U.S. didn't develop its own welfare state and whether race has anything to do with it.
I think race may have something to do with it, but I think essentially what we have seen in this country is the lack of a strong workers' movement. In Europe, I think you have seen political parties, labor parties, social democratic parties, who have stood up and said that we've got to make government work for all of us. Everybody is entitled to health care, public education.
Facts. Where's the rioting?
Should be tuition free. Seniors deserve to have strong retirement benefits. Workers have rights. We're pro-union. You have seen a stronger working class political movement in Europe than I think historically you've seen in the United States.
Why is that? What is unique about the United States that has prevented it from having a real labor party?
That's a great question. And I think I could tell you in some respects, way back when, in the 1920s or earlier than that, where there really was a strong coming together of workers, the government came down really very hard on the Socialist Party of the time. During the 50s, you had attacks against the labor movement through McCarthyism. So I think in this country there has been a real hostility for the working people to get together, to stand together, to create a government that works for everybody. And that's just the reality of where we're at.
And I think that many people in my generation, many young people, don't quite understand how unions work, or they don't feel identified by the labor movement. How would you make a union sexy again for young people?
What? Who asked that question? How would you make a union sexy again for young people? Like, what the fuck, homie? Like, I get it, but like, damn, we really treated him like the hip young uncle. Like,
Great question. Look, the answer is pretty simple. What a union
Smell like
is
bitch in
an
here.
understanding
All y'all smell like bitch to me.
they have more power. That if you are dealing with your employer and you're getting low wages, and you go up to your boss and say, hey, could you give me some more money? The guy says, hey, you know what, I got 10 other people who want your job. But if you walk in with a union and you sit down and you have collective bargaining and you have the power to strike, for example, then your owners have got to listen to you. They have to listen to your demands.
collective bargaining.
So that's historically what unions have been about. Now, in the last many years, we have seen a decline in trade unionism in this country for a lot of reasons. And you're right, I think there are millions of young people who really are not familiar with what unions are about. And the reason for that is we've seen many manufacturing jobs which were unionized leave this country. We've seen anti-union activity. But basically, if we are looking as we are today, Fernando, at a generation, your generation, which everything being equal, will have a lower standard of living than your parents. We're moving in the wrong direction. Clearly, young people have got to stand together, to come together, to demand that public colleges and universities be tuition free, that we raise the minimum wage to a living wage, that we join the rest of the industrialized world and have health care for all, etc. But bottom line of what a union is that alone there are limits to what you can do. When you stand with your brothers and sisters, there's a lot you can accomplish.
What about in this sort of new so-called sharing economy? Like, how do you create a sort of a strong labor movement when a lot of the jobs are, you know, sort of at will, part-time employment? How do you kind of do you have to create a new class of workers, or a new economic system?
But let's understand, I don't think you have to create a new economic system, but what we have to do is recognize that a lot of these part-time jobs are just not great jobs. That many people who want to work full-time are forced to work part-time. So what do we have to do? I think, number one, we need new trade policies so that corporate America invests in this country rather than shutting down here and moving abroad. I think number two, we need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. I believe it should be $15 an hour. Number three, as I've just mentioned, we need to create millions of decent paying jobs. All right? Youth unemployment is very, very high in this country. We have got to invest in, among other things, rebuilding our infrastructure, transforming our energy system to combat climate change. When you do that, you create jobs.
And I guess I could make it. I can because I'm not gonna watch that whole thing. Bernie Sanders is Bernie Sanders, but I'm still not gonna watch a 9-minute video of Bernie Sanders. I feel like what we miss when we talk about like unionizing or these benefits that we need across the country, I feel like what we miss is the unearthed responsibility that like corporations are the reason that we're here. Like unionizing is one thing, them destabilizing everything everything. And then telling people you have to band together with your limited resources to fight that entire system. Like, it's a losing battle from jump if we're not all on the same page. Which is why it bothers me that there's an entire movement of people saying, yeah, we need jobs first, America first, America first. And it's like, yeah, the guy that you are the people that you're letting lead this movement literally say the opposite, but you hear the first words and you're like, let's go, USA, let's go, A-Team, Eagles, bombs, like, I don't get where you're coming from. I don't like it. I don't fucking like it. Unionize. Have the conversation. Or just have the paycheck conversation. How much you make an hour? You make 25? Well, I only make 13. I'm with you. Just have the conversation.